All right, folks. So it looks like we're going to get $600 stimulus checks starting next week, man. Listen, so I wanted to go through and actually break down exactly what's going to be in this bill and what happened, right? Because basically they weren't going to give us stimulus checks, which I told you what the deal was, right? They did not want to give us stimulus checks. Like they refused to give us fucking stimulus checks. So Tom Pease is, like, and everybody else on the internet lost their fucking mind. And we all screamed loud enough that, the people stood here and, stood up and forced them to give us stimulus checks. So, you're welcome. No, I'm only playing. Like, they had shit to do with me, man. There's only a few of us out here who actually listen to my fucking content. But in the meantime, I wanted to sit here and actually break down what was going on and like what happened with this as far as like stuff's really concerned. I got this calculator up here in the corner. We are going to actually count up where all the money goes, right? And make sure we're accounting for the $900 billion stimulus package and the $1.4 trillion omnibus bill. And the omnibus bill is basically what they're doing is they're funding the federal government for a while, right? They're just going to, print the money off to be able to pay for the federal government, even though they don't have any money. It's basically a basic appropriations bill. So let's go down through them, go through this article and shit, congressional leaders on Sunday night unveiled the highlights of a $900 billion fiscal stimulus package and a $1.4 trillion government funding deal that will deliver critical pandemic aid to millions of Americans and pad federal agency budgets through next September. If passed by both chambers on Monday, as expected, the colossal year-end package will provide another round of direct payments, enhanced employment benefits, and billions of dollars for struggling industries in what still amounts to a less generous package than the $3 trillion response mounted at the beginning of the pandemic. Unemployment benefits expire in mid-March, likely setting up another deadline for additional congressional action early next year. The bipartisan Camaro year-end package also includes a dozen annual appropriation bills that, if passed, would ward off a government funding fight at the onset of the Biden administration. Here's a breakdown of what's inside the massive year-end compromise, according to the Democratic and Republican summaries obtained by Politico. So, we have $166 billion in direct checks, right? So we're going to put 166 plus, right? Individuals making up to $75,000 a year will receive a payment of $600, while couples making up to $150,000 will receive $1,200. In addition to $600 per child, the deal also makes the stimulus checks more accessible to immigrant families. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Monday the checks could go out as soon as next week. $120 billion in extra unemployment help. So 1 plus, right? That puts us at $286 billion, folks. Right, jobless workers will get an extra $300 per week in federal cash through March 14th. The legislation also extends unemployment benefits to self-employed individuals, gig workers, and those exhausted their state benefits. $325 billion in small business boost. 325 plus. Pandemic ravaged small businesses would see a total of $325 billion, including $284 billion in loans through the Paycheck Protection Program, $20 billion for businesses in low-income communities, and $15 billion for struggling live venues, movie theaters, and museums. A major priority of Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Well, that's because Chuck Schumer's from out in Nevada, right? Small business aid is only expected to cover less than 3 months of payroll cost. However, while many employers don't expect to resume normal operations for more than 6 months. Totaling tax break. Legislation allows businesses to deduct expenses associated with their forgiven PPP loans, in addition to expanded the employee retention credit intended to prevent layoffs. It includes a 2-year tax break for business meals, a priority for President Trump, and rolls over a variety of temporary tax breaks known as extenders. Some of the multiple years, the package also extends a payroll tax subsidy for employers offering workers paid sick leave and boosts the earned income tax credit. The government funding portion of the border wall status quo. The government funding portion of the year-end package would maintain nearly $1.4 billion in cash, in addition to $20 million for new border processing coordinators. So let's put in 1.4 plus, right? All right, so we got 45 billion in transportation aid. That includes 15 billion to help airlines maintain their payrolls, 14 billion for mass transit, 10 billion for state highways, and 2 billion for airports, and 1 billion for Amtrak. So that is 45 billion plus. Right, we're at 657.4 billion dollars. Right, food and farmer assistance package. This year-end package includes a $13 billion booster bolster food stamp bolster food stamp benefits by 15%. It doesn't expand SNAP eligibility. Farmers and ranchers will also see another $13 billion round of direct paychecks. So that's 13 plus 13 plus, right? Surprising billing real deal. Omnibus includes an agreement to protect patients from receiving surprise medical bills at the last minute haggling, a major priority for retiring Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican Tennessee, shielding insured payments from eye-popping medical bills for unexpected out-of-network and emergency care that has been a bipartisan priority for lawmakers, but progress has been stalled for over a year. There's no actual thing here. All right, 69 billion for vaccines, testing, and tracing. So we'll put 69 plus, right? The package includes 20 billion for the purchase of vaccines, nearly 9 billion for vaccine distribution, and about 22 billion to help states with testing, tracing, and COVID-19 mitigation programs. Restoring Medicaid for the Marshallese. Tens of thousands of Marshall Islanders will be allowed to sign up for Medicaid with the year-end agreement, revising a drafting mistake in a 1996 welfare program that barred the Islanders from the program. The problem was detailed in a series of political stories this year. Thank you for I'm saying, wave your own dick at us, right? Rental aid and eviction ban. Of the 25 billion in federal rental assistance, 800 million is set aside for Native American housing entities. A federal eviction ban has been extended to the end of January. So we're going to hit 25 plus, right? Infusion for schools and childcare. Right. All right. Including the 82 billion total for college and universities, more than 4 billion for governor's relief fund, more than 54 billion for public K-12 schools, and 23 billion for a higher education fund. Separately, the child care sector will receive about 10 billion in emergency cash. So 82 plus, right? Higher education compromise. Legislation includes a bipartisan agreement to forgive nearly 1.3 billion in federal loans to historically black colleges and universities, deliver Pell Grants to incarcerated students after a 26-year ban, and simplified financial aid forms. The last of those three has been a long-time priority for retiring Alexander. The deal would also repeal a 1998 law that prohibits students convicted of drug offenses from receiving federal financial aid. So put 1.3. Right? Plus pay boost for troops. The omnibus portion of the year-end package includes a 3% military pay raise. Of course it does. I mean, like, yo, how are you going to stand here and tell the troops to come and keep the American people in line if you're not paying them well? You know what I mean? Like, that's just a basic thing, right? Yo. Keeping contractor relief. The package continues the CARES Act program, those contracts to keep employees on the payroll, even if federal facilities closed. A variety of reauthorizations. The government funding piece includes a compromised version of annual intelligent authorization bill and ensures that major water infrastructure package will hitch a ride to passage. It also includes technical corrections to the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. All right, and a boon for broadband. The agreement invests $7 billion to increase and expand broadband access for students, families, and unemployed workers, including $300 million for rural broadband and $250 for telehealth. So that is plus 7 equals. And we are still missing $32.3 billion somehow out of this package. Somewhere, they didn't fucking find it. I have no idea where, but I figured I would stand here and break down the bill for you and show you where all the money go, right? And make sure everybody understood exactly what was going on and what you had going on. So in the end of the day, I'm assuming like the rest is tax breaks or something along these type of lines. I don't know. But in the end of the day, they don't have all of it funded. But on the same point, I think it's, rather important that we have this conversation and I show you exactly what's going on and, where as a whole everything is. I think it's kind of important. But in the meantime, yo, look, man, I'm Tom Peace from Pnoid News. Y'all know the deal. Y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell because you know they don't be trying to notify my subs of all the content I be giving out. But here you go. It is what it is. Simple. Peace you like one, man. Later.